All right, there it is. Now I'm live. What the hell? That was just ridiculous. All right. YouTube's having all sorts of issues. So now I'm live. And now no one's here. Everyone left me. What are you going to do? Welcome to Randsanity, episode 241. If I did this weekly, we'd be at 4.62 years. So I've got this thing dialed in, man. I've been doing it for 4.26 years. So I must know what I'm doing at this point. So this is episode 241 of Live Randsanity. Talking about music news, history, things that happened, stuff, entertainment, all those things. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about, I don't know, 4 face-melting metal songs. I think we're going to talk about some one-hit wonders. And we've got some history, some births and deaths and stuff like that. So when we start it off, all right? Since it's cold as hell, freezing cold, like I can't believe how cold it is because I keep looking at the thermostat, the thermometer stat, the thermometer, the weather, and it tells me this. Look at this. 0. Is that freaking unbelievable? It's 0. Yeah, I let the dog outside. It looked at me like, I am so just peeing in the house. I don't really care. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to pee in the house because it's too damn cold for me to do this. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to have just pee in the house. Not me personally. I pee in the toilet in the house, but not in the house per se. That's just me. All right, so let's get started a little bit. Let's talk about some stuff. Talk about some one-hit wonders from the 90s with hidden gems in their catalog that deserve a listen to. Okay? These are some one-hit wonders that are built on a solid, devoted fan base. And, they definitely got a surge of it. Now, remember, if you don't know what a one-hit wonder term is, all right, it's often kind of subjective. All right? They don't need to be number one. They don't have to go to the top of the charts. In a literal sense, it describes any artist who had one hit on the big charts and no more, like in the top 10. They make a top 20 song, but they never did it again. So with that logic, Rush, the band Rush is a one-hit wonder, even Iggy Pop. Alternatively, a one-hit wonder can be used for bands that had a huge surge in popularity due to one song, then fell off the radar after the hype died down. Going on that definition, here's some bands from the 90s whose discs deserve a little digging into, okay? The first one's a band called Dishwalla. All right, not a lot of people have heard of Dishwalla. We played Dishwalla, and they're actually really good. All right, they scored their only hit song in 1995 with Counting Blue Cars. Tell me your thoughts on God. It was from their debut album, Pet Your Friends. It reached number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was a sizable radio hit. I can tell you that for a fact. We played it, and it was a sizable radio hit. Although the vocalist and songwriter J.R. Richardson once explained that he received death threats from people who didn't like his depiction of God as a woman. Either way, while Dishwalla remained a one-hit wonder, it also created a decent discography and built a diehard fan base. Counting Blue Cars is still a fan favorite, but many more all-time favorites come from the 2000 album Offline. Fans even named Angels or Devils, somewhere in the middle, Home, When Morning Comes, and Every Little Thing as top tracks from that album. So Dishwalla's definitely worth going to check it out. If you've never heard of them, just give it a listen. And you probably have heard that Blue Cars if you were even listening that time, okay? Next on the list is a band called the Toadies. Okay? The Toadies. They debuted in 1994 with their album Rubberneck, giving them their only hit song, Possum Kingdom. Although they're considered one-hit wonders, the band continued to make music and gain devoted fans. Furthermore, Rubberneck as an album has much more depth than the one-hit wonder of Possum Kingdom, which again, we played a ton of it. We were all over Possum Kingdom from the Toadies, okay? Possum Kingdom is actually more of an epilogue of the album track. I Burn. The conceptual continuation comes from Texas folklore, where the band originates. I Burn describes a cult whose members emulate themselves. That's, pour gas on yourself and light yourself up. Then Possum Kingdom focuses on one of the cult members as he becomes just smoke, according to vocalist Vadin Todd Lewis. The cult member goes down to Possum Kingdom Lake, a real place near Fort Worth, and tries to find somebody to join him. Last on the list is a band that I really like, and I listened to this band recently just because. And the band is The Verve. Okay? They had a very tumultuous career after debuting in 1993. And while they won awards and gained recognition for their work, they're still mostly considered a one-hit wonder band for Bittersweet Symphony. They first broke up around 1995, changing lineups, experiencing issues with, well, drugs, and then health problems, and then, of course, lawsuits. Eventually, they reformed before breaking up again in 1999, shortly after the commercial success of their 1997 Urban Hymns. Reunions and interpersonal issues aside, more reunions continued throughout the years. But the loyal fans, The Verve was more than their unstable career. Their debut LP, A Storm in Heaven, was on the cutting edge of shoegaze. It's true. But the band is often left out of discussing 1990s UK Britpop, shoegaze, and alt-rock. The Verve was on the cutting edge as much as they were just on the edge of the scene, making good music, but never making it to the front. So there's three sort of one-hit wonder bands from the 90s that definitely worth checking out. Dishwalla and The Verve, definitely for sure. Toadies, yeah, I mean, I like the Toadies, but Dishwalla for sure and The Verve, absolutely. Like I said, I was listening to The Verve just the other day, Bittersweet Symphony. So to hear that and, just like, right, what a good band. So, all right, let's move on a little bit. Always try and do this stuff where it's a little bit interesting and throw some stuff in there. So history of things that happened on this day throughout time. So things that happened on January the 28th throughout time, because you never know where it starts and where it ends. So this one, I think we're going to go back a little bit far this time. We're going to start all the way back in 1956 with Elvis Presley. He made his first national television appearance on the Dorsey Brothers stage show. It was the first of 6 appearances on the show and the first of 8 performances recorded and broadcast for CBS TV in New York City. After the success of their first appearance, they were signed to 5 more in early 1956. In 1968, as it normally is, Jim Morrison of the Doors was arrested and charged with public drunkenness after harassing a security guard at a Las Vegas adult movie theater. Oh, Jim. In 1977, Pink Floyd's 10th studio album, Animals, entered the UK chart at number 2. The sleeve concept was of Rogers Waters, who lived at a time near Chatham Common and regularly drove past Battersea Power Station. A view of the imposing but disused former power station building was chosen for the cover image, complete with massive inflatable pigs suspended between 2 of the towers. So if you've never seen that cover, the guys also, the whole, thing. In 1978, Fleetwood Mac Rumours went to number 1 on the UK album chart. The group's 11th studio album would sell over 45 million copies worldwide and spent over 440 weeks on the UK chart. The song Go On Your Own Way, Dreams, Don't Stop, and You Make Lovin' Fun were released as singles. 440 weeks on the charts. That's nuts. 52 weeks in a year, that's like almost 9 years. Okay? Good stuff for Fleetwood Mac. In 1978, Van Halen released their first single, a cover of The Kinks' You Really Got Me. Now, Dave Davies of The Kinks, who's claimed to dislike Van Halen's rendition of the song, and stated of how a concert goer once approached him after a live Kinks show and congratulated him on performing a great cover of the Van Halen song. Oh, I'd be like, bro, no, that's not happening. I mean, that's just, that's just too much. All right, in 1983, the first NARA music festival was held near Somersby, NSW, over the Australia Day weekend. The lineup included Men at Work, The Church, The Choir Boys, Cold Chisel, and In Excess. The following year saw Simple Minds, Talking Heads, Def Leppard, Eurythmics, and The Pretenders all appeared. Some solid lineup there. Now A, you wouldn't talk me out of this. B, what a jackass. In 1984, backstage after a Motley Crue show in Buffalo, New York, Tommy Lee found out that his girlfriend had posed for a current issue of Penthouse magazine without his knowledge. Okay. After a fan passed comment on the pictures, Tommy punched the fan unconscious with one hit. That's the one-hit wonder for Motley Crue. Motley's manager, Doug Thaler, later convinced the fan not to press any charges. I'd be like, bro, checkbook, write it. Just saying. Jesus. 1984, Frankie Goes to Hollywood started a 5-week run at #1 on the UK singles chart with Relax. BBC Radio 1 DJ Mike Reed expressed on air his distaste for both the record's suggestive sleeve and its lyrics. He announced his refusal to play the record, not knowing that the BBC had decided that the song was not to be played on the BBC anyway. Produced by Trevor Horn, the song remained on the chart for 48 weeks. Relax, don't do it when you got to get... It's a great song. Shut up. In 1985, the recording took place for We Are the World, the U.S. equivalent of Band-Aid at A&M Studios in Hollywood. Written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, the all-star cast included Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, Bruce Springsteen, Diana Ross, Bob Dylan, Ray Charles, Daryl Hall, John Oates, Cyndi Lauper, Steve Perry, and of course, Bob Geldof. Sir Bob Geldof. In 1990, Paula Abdul started a 10-week run at #1 on the U.S. album chart with Forever Your Girl. Abdul spent 64 consecutive weeks on the Billboard 200 before hitting #1, making it the longest time for an album to reach the #1 spot. So she was basically sitting there on the charts for over a year before it went up. So I don't know what pushed it. You know, maybe someone spent $35 million to promote it. Just saying. In 1994, Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney attended the premiere of Wayne's World 2 in London. The couple then went on to the Hard Rock Cafe, where the film's star, Mike Myers, presented them with a check for LIPA, the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, for $42,500 from the sale of Linda's vegetarian burgers. I'm not sure what... Okay. So I'm guessing the Hard Rock Cafe must have been selling vegetarian burgers, and they just took the proceeds from the vegetarian burgers and gave them back to Linda's, the Institute? I don't know. It was confusing, but I'm like, all right. In 1995, TLC started a 4-week run at #1 on the U.S. singles chart with Creep, the group's first U.S. #1. It made it to #6 in the UK the following year. The lyrics portray the singers as women who cheat on their unfaithful lovers for some affection. The context was controversial within the group and strongly opposed by member Lisa Left Eye Lopes, who threatened to wear black tape over her mouth on its accompanying music video. All right? Seems about right. 1998, Oasis guitarist Noel Gallagher played a 20-minute solo gig at the King Head, an English pub in Santa Monica, in front of 250 fans. Or he basically went to go do a show, played for 20 minutes, and walked off the set. Because he's done that too. You know, that's also something that Noel has done. That's the way it goes. Let's see. Elvis Presley fans expressed their anger at plans to cut up a rare tape of the singer's early songs and sell the snippets at auction. The tape, which featured a recording made by Presley during the early 1950s, was now too fragile to play. U.S. firm Master Tape Collection said the tape would be cut into 2-inch snippets and sold for $460 each. 2-inch snippets of a tape that you can't listen to of Elvis Presley for $460. Please don't tell me you bought one of those. Anybody, ever. Because I'm going to be like, bro, I got some land down in Florida I can sell you too. And a bridge that's in Brooklyn. Crap. Castos, what's up? Sorry I didn't see you there earlier. My bad. I was walking and talking and just doing my thing, man, you know? Not paying attention. Sorry. It happens. What are you going to do? In 2008, Madonna topped the list of the richest female musicians on the planet, according to Forbes.com. Its first ever list focusing on women in the music industry estimated the 49-year-old banked $72 million between June of 2006 and June of 2007. Madonna earned as much from her Confessions tour, the highest grossing tour for a female artist, earning $260 million worldwide. Barbra Streisand came in second with $60 million, followed by Celine Dion with $45 million, mainly from her recent concerts at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, though. Celine. Let's see. In 2015, funk legend Sly Stone was awarded $5 million in missed royalties by Los Angeles court. The singer claimed his former manager, Gerald Goldstein, and lawyers Glenn Stone had cheated him out of earnings dating back more than 20 years. In 2011, it was reported he was homeless and living in a camper after falling on hard times and fighting drug addiction problems. Well, hopefully he got his money and got out of those drug addiction problems and out of the van and everything else. That's the hopes. Leonard Skinner keyboard player Billy Powell died at the age of 56 of a heart attack in Florida. Powell called police saying he was having trouble breathing and emergency services tried to resuscitate him, but he was pronounced dead an hour later. Powell had missed a doctor's appointment on the day before his death. The appointment was a checkup for his heart, of all things. He played piano on Kid Rock's All Summer Long, which sampled the Leonard Skinner's Sweet Home Alabama song. Yeah, don't miss those doctor's appointments, apparently. Shit. Also, 2015, Black Sabbath bassist Geezer Butler was arrested after officers were called to a Corkscrew Saloon on the Furnace Creek Ranch in Death Valley National Park, California. The 65-year-old bassist was arrested for a misdemeanor assault, public intoxication, and vandalism after a fight broke out in the bar. Oh, man, come on. Old dudes brawling in a bar. Geezer Butler, can you see this old guy, like, rocking it out in a bar at 65? Just hammered. Go on, I'll kick your ass. Oh. Sorry, that's just a little pathetic and sad. Sorry. Wah, wah, wah. Now, this is a weird coincidence, okay? Just very strange. So, on 2016, Paul Kantner, he died in San Francisco at the age of 74. He basically was known as the co-founding member of Jefferson Airplane, the leading psychedelic rock group of the counterculture area. You know, that whole spin-off from Jefferson Starship. Not paying attention. Pilot error. Totally on me. Once again, not paying attention, and the camera dies. Woohoo! Don the Idea Guy. What's going on? Teach your dog to use a litter box. Well, yeah, right. That's not happening. My dog's not going to use a litter box. Just saying. Anyway, so weird coincidence. Paul Kantner of Jefferson Airplane died in San Francisco at the age of 74. Basically had a heart attack and died afterwards. All right. This was the spin-off of the Jefferson Starship. Jefferson Airplane. Kantner was among one of the performers at the Monterey Jazz Festival in 1966, Monterey Pop in 67, and Woodstock in 69. Okay? On the same day, at the same age, Sig Tully Anderson died at the age of 74. She was the founding member of the American rock band Jefferson Airplane. She sang on the first Jefferson Airplane album, Jefferson Airplane Takes Off, most notably on the song Chauffeur Blues. So how weird is that? Two band members that were in the band as founding members both died on the same day. How bizarre is that? And not like next to each other or anything. Just one of those things. And in 2017, a British musician and keyboardist and longtime member of the heavy metal band Black Sabbath, Jeff Nichols, died at the age of 68. He had basically played keyboards with former Black Sabbath singer Tony Martin and his band Tony Martin's Headless Cross. But he was with Sabbath for like almost the entire time, like all the way up through. So, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Don't care about that. And yeah, we'll just skip that last person that died because I don't really care. It happens. People die. It's sad, but that's what happens. We all will become that one day. All right. So let's talk about a little bit. You know, I told you I'd talk about some of this. These are the 4 face metal guitar solos kind of in heavy metal history. One of them actually is from Dimebag Darrell. His solo on Pantera's Floods for the Great Southern Treadkill. Now, this is Dimebag Darrell, who was killed in Columbus, Ohio, some years back at the Alrosa Villa by a crazed fan. So, yeah, that happened here in Columbus, Ohio, unfortunately. Anyway, you know, the wide range vocals, the head banging, you know, all the great riffs. You can't forget the solos. That's what makes some of these heavy metal songs so great. You know, the best one, the band comes in hot with a real face melter, and you just want to feel that kind of like, feel that soul, okay? Over the years, there's been some countless highly regarded heavy metal bands, and there's been some really good solos from them. So let's just go through a list of a few of them. Hollowed Point by Slayer. Okay, now, Slayer often does not get enough credit for their incredible solos. I think it's because their brand of thrash has always more in common with hardcore punk than when their peers were playing in the 80s. You know, during the 90s and 2000s, they evolved into a more death metal direction. Like, even as, you know, you can see the logic behind being underappreciate the killer solo work of, you know, Kerry King and the late Jeff Hanneman. If you want a great example, Hollowed Point from Slayer's 5th album, Seasons in the Abyss, is quite possibly Kerry King's greatest solo work, and it will definitely melt your face off. All right, next, Floods by Pantera. Dimebag Darrell, I mean, yeah, at the time, there wasn't anything even close, okay? Pantera is probably one of the favorite bands that you could say, you know, for all times when it comes to heavy metal, rock, and solos for this. You know, the Great Southern Trendkill, it's an amazing album, okay? Dimebag broke ground in metal through his groove, rhythm, riffs, and his insane lead solos is the stuff of legend. I mean, truly it is. The thing that hits so hard about that is Pantera's Great Southern Trendkill album is how it blends so much of who they were with their individual influences. The track Floods is such a great example. It's kind of doomy, kind of sludgy, very groovy, and it features a pair of back-to-back solos that Dimebag just absolutely nails. Worth a listen for sure. Next is Ride the Lightning by Metallica. You can't have a list of face-melting metal bands, especially guitar solos, without including 2 very specific bands, the first being Metallica. You know, I don't think you have to say this, you know, blend of traditional rock solos into thrash metal started with Metallica. They definitely brought it to a wider audience, though. They definitely made it more acceptable as sort of a mainstream genre. While there's some incredible solos to choose from across their extensive catalog, it's Kirk Hammett's work on Ride the Lightning that really stands out. The title track off the band's second album, Ride the Lightning, is a classic Metallica song, beloved by many. It also just happens to not be a deep cut. Dedicated fans would rarely agree that a band's best work is one of their more recognizable tunes, but in this case, that is how the bell tolls. Okay, lastly, we've got Tornado of Soul by Megadeth. Oh, you can't leave these guys off when you talk about some face-melting solos. Megadeth. Back in 1990, the band dropped one of the most iconic albums, Rust in Peace. The record featured the song Tornado of Souls, which is one of the most acclaimed solos ever. Played by then Megadeth guitarist Marty Friedman, the wildly inventive solo won't just melt your face off, it will melt off the faces of anyone within like an 18-mile radius and just set fire to their skulls. Play this one at your own risk, and definitely make sure you turn the volume to 11. So there you go. There's some face-melting metal. All right? A little Megadeth, Tornado for Your Souls, Ride the Lightning by Metallica, Floods by Pantera, and of course, Hollowed Point by Slayer. Recommended. Check them out. Let's talk about a little births and deaths then. All right. So born on this day, John Banner. He would have been 116 years old. Also, he died on this day at the age of 63 in 1973. Who's John Banner? I see nothing. Nothing. Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes of all things. He falls into the 10% catalog of people that are born and die on their birthday. Unbelievable. Alan Alda, 90 years old today. Alan Alda from MASH, also at Murder 1600 and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, he played that evil guy in Murder at 1600. I remember that with Wesley Snipes. I'm like, yeah, he played an evil guy. Like, he wasn't a good, affable, Hawkeye from MASH. No, he was the evil, treacherous guy. John Beck and Susan Howard, both actors, both were in the show Dallas, both born on the same day. Happy birthday to them. They're 83 today. Barbie Benton, Playboy model, as well as actress and singer. She's 76. Joey Fatone of NSYNC is 55. I ran into Joey Fatone in New York City once, we were in a clothes store of all things, like the Gap or something. I'm like, you're Joey Fatone. He's like, no, you must have your mistaken someone else. I'm like, no, you are. And he was just like, all right, fine. I was like, good seeing you, man. It was just very strange. He was just like, no, that's not who I am. Like people were going to mob him or something. I was like, all right, whatever. Elijah Wood from The Hobbit, 45. And he still has these crazy, I was like, wait, how old is he? 45, Jesus. Ariel Winter is Alex Dunphy from, I don't know what the fuck that show is. Anyway, she's also was Sophie from Phineas and Ferb. That's why I remember. I'm like, wait, she was on Phineas and Ferb. Remember cartoons. I'm a cartoon guy. Dave Sharp from The Alarm, 67. Danny Spitz from Anthrax, the guitarist, 63. All right, and then we lost John Boehner, Sergeant Schultz, on this day in 1973 at the age of 63. Let's see. Cicely Tyson, she died at the age of 96. Oh, Joe Vitarelli, he was Jelly on Analyze This. He also was the dad in Shallow Hal. He died at the age of 66. Lisa Loring, who was Wednesday in the original Addams Family. Apparently she was also on some soap operas. She died in 23 at the age of 64. And then we talked about Billy Powell from Leonard Skinner, Paul Kantner from Jefferson Airplane, We talked about Jeff thinks of Black Sabbath. And yeah, that's about it. So there's all your births and your deaths as well. Nothing too crazy. So yeah, it's it's cold. It's really chilly. So I'm really happy to kind of like breeze through these things a little bit because it's, the basement's not usually bad, but man, it is just freaking freezing out. Look at this. I'm still kind of in awe of this. That's the actual temperature. The live temperature right there is 0. It is freaking 0 degrees out. So I'm not super happy about that. It's a little chilly in my studio down here. The computer's probably happy because, they like it cold. It's definitely not balmy down here by any sense of the word. I'm looking forward to it not being frozen tundra. The snow has not melted one iota. It's cold to work outside and do everything else. So, taking the garbage out, I just skipped it this week. I was like, screw it. I don't have that much. I'm not dragging the garbage can out to the curb. Just not doing it. I'm like, they'll come get it next week, right? Who cares? And I have no concert announcements today, so I got nothing for you. I got no new news. Just old stuff. Things of the past. So if that isn't enough, then I'm sorry. I just got to move on. Right, Andrew Puppy? That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to move the heck on. Don, the Modern Family, thanks. See, Don, I still need you as my secret producer. And what are you doing here, Don? Don't you have classes or something? Don't you have work to do? I'm expecting you to be somewhere else. I'm not expecting to see you here. Modern Family. Yes, the Dunphys on Modern Family. Thank you. My brain wasn't working properly. It's because it's cold. It's frozen. It's the way that happens. Oh, school closed all week. All week? Man, that's right. Well, that's what Jello was saying. Jello was saying that she doesn't have school all week, too, because it's frozen. I guess that's the way it goes. Frozen tundra. All right. Well, then I'll catch up with you tomorrow. I'll give you guys a call tomorrow, and we'll catch up and say hello. All right? I'm going to go upstairs and go put a blanket around myself and sit on the couch because it is freaking cold down here. And, I got my hair cut, so my hair is not covering my neck, so my neck's freezing. First world problems here, all right? First world problems. Besides that, that's all I got for you, all right? So until the next time, till tomorrow, we meet again. We get to do this all over again, but completely different. We will do that then. Snow days, baby. You got it, snow days. Grateful. Appreciate you. Thank you. I'll look for you again tomorrow, and we'll do this all again, but totally different. So until then, we will fade to black. Snow days, baby. Snow days.